Hello and welcome to LFC Transfer Hub, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Arne Slot makes fresh Liverpool transfer claim amid Alexander Isak saga. Arne Slot says he is not desperate to add to Liverpool's attacking ranks before the transfer deadline passes on September 1st, insisting he has enough options without moving for Newcastle. United's Alexander Isak. The Reds have opted to move Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz on during this window and also sanctioned the £25 million sale of Ben Doak to Bournemouth that was confirmed last week. Hugo Ekitike joined from Frankfurt for a fee that could potentially rise to £79 million last month after a club record agreement of £116 million was struck for attacking midfielder Florian Wirtz in June from Bayer Leverkusen, Liverpool. Also saw an offer of £110 million turned down by Newcastle for Isak earlier this month, and the Sweden international striker has gone on strike in an effort to force through his dream move, with the Magpies' hierarchy so far standing firm in their resistance. Slot says he has more than enough coverage up top. Despite the bid for Isak at the beginning of the month and speaking ahead of Monday's trip to St James Park, where the want away, frontmen won't be involved. He says the Premier League champions won't be panicked into a decision. It depends how you want to look at it, Slot said. If you want to add Florian Wirtz as an attacking option, then you can make it 5. So yeah, we've sold Darwin and brought in Hugo Lucho Diaz has gone. You can maybe see Florian as a replacement. For that, and yes, we all know what happened to Diogo Jota, if you look at it like this, maybe we haven't got enough, but Jeremy Frimpong, when he is fit, is definitely an option to play as a winger as well. So then we end up at 6 forwards. I think I said it already, we have 6 players that can play in 3 positions. That is the answer? Yes, I'm happy. Slot also hinted that Germany's star Wirtz could be utilized as a false 9. On Tyneside, in the manner that Curtis Jones was last season in the 2-0 win at Manchester City and 2-2 draw at Aston Villa, which both came in February, Slot added, could Wirtz play up top? He could do, yes. I would consider him for more games in that position, but there were games last season, Man City and Aston Villa away, where we did play with an extra midfielder like Curtis Jones. But it depends not only on bringing in an extra midfielder, but it depends on tactics, how they line up, all these kinds of things. He is already an option to play as a left winger, and he can be an option for the upcoming game. Cody Gakpo played a good game against Bournemouth as well. The game on Monday night has threatened to be overshadowed by the Isak saga that has dominated the agenda in recent weeks. The 25-year-old cited a thigh injury to keep him off the Magpies. Preseason tours of Far East last month, and he hasn't trained with his colleagues since. On Tuesday, he released an explosive statement via social media, demanding to be sold after claiming promises had been broken and trust had been lost. But Slot doesn't feel as though the relationship between Liverpool and Newcastle has been damaged by the situation. I don't know, Slot said. The only manager I have ever texted with is Eddie Howe in the Premier League. In Holland, a few more, but after the League Cup final, we did exchange a few messages. So if I will see him, I will be the same as I was last year, and I expect nothing different from him as well. If you are talking on a higher level, then I have no clue. For me, it is still the same relationship with him. Alexander Isak. Alternatives considered as Liverpool transfer deadline set for Plan B. The Alexander Isak saga has been simmering for a few days now after explosive statements earlier in the week. The talk will undoubtedly ramp up again in the build-up to Liverpool's clash with Newcastle United on Monday. As much as the Reds hold an interest in the on-strike striker, and he's keen on the move, it still feels like a lot needs to happen before a deal gets over the line. Liverpool will surely need to have their eye on some alternatives in the final week of the summer window as a result. With that in mind, we asked our writers what player or players they would look to land should Isak remain at St James Park beyond the deadline. Paul Gorstwith Monday evening, leaving Liverpool with a week left of the transfer window. Time is of the essence. If Arne Slot and sporting director Richard Hughes are to finish an exciting, history-making few months of player trading with a flourish. The problem is, the object of their affection, Alexander Isak, is currently in the clutches of not only Newcastle United but their owners, who who are the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia. You get the feeling from the endless quizzing on it that Eddie Howe might like to wash his hair of the problem and reinvest a potential British record sum back into the squad at St. James Park. As he has said on a number of occasions now, however, that decision is out his hands, leaving him with little choice but to talk up the prospect of reintegration for the want-away Isak. What other option is there for Howe just now? But if the Saudi Arabian owners are intent on trying to save face by cutting off their nose despite it, then how much longer do Liverpool let this impasse drag on from their end? They are not able to call many of the shots here. Slot may publicly dispute this, but the Reds are short up front, having allowed Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz, and most recently Ben Doak to leave, and while it still feels hugely crass and insensitive, speaking about Diogo Jota in such terms, the reality is the popular Portuguese, heartbreakingly, is no longer with us. So Slot, Hughes, and CEO of football, Michael Edwards, might have to deviate to a plan B sooner rather than later. If there has been little encouragement from Newcastle by, say, Thursday of next week, when some wheels need to be put in motion elsewhere, how much appetite is there to test Atletico Madrid's resolve for Julian Alvarez? The Argentina international would be an ideal alternative to Isak. If there is to be a reluctant acceptance, the 25-year-old is out of reach. Alvarez scored 17 goals for Los Rojiblancos last season in La Liga and provides tactical flexibility to go with his international class and willingness to work hard off the ball. There are few viable Plan Bs around for the Reds, but the former Manchester City man ticks more boxes than most. Ian Doyle, every club has a contingency plan, but there is a nagging suspicion Liverpool are intent on signing Alexander Isak and won't settle for anyone else. Whether that's a wise move will become more apparent over the next 9 days. Intriguingly, there could be parallels to the Virgil van Dijk situation if Isak doesn't arrive this summer. After the expected move for Van Dijk, before the 2017-18 season was thwarted by Southampton, there were relentless calls for Liverpool to sign another centre-back. The club resisted, and sure enough, the Holland international was in situ less than 6 months later. Isak looks like he will come to Anfield sooner rather than later. And there have certainly been signs of Newcastle's resolve weakening in recent days. Might a £130 million deal sort it? It wouldn't be a shock. Liverpool undoubtedly remains short in attack, but the current alternatives aren't massively appealing. Talk of Rodrygo of Real Madrid appears budget-driven and his reported financial package wouldn't make much sense for the Reds. Julian Alvarez of Atletico Madrid is another name, but the suggestion is he left Manchester City because he couldn't settle. In England and the Northwest in particular, should Isak not move to Liverpool before the September 1st deadline? It may be that the Reds try again in the new year and continue for the first half of the season with their current attacking options. Don't be surprised if there is no Plan B. Theo Squires-Ern. Slot has already admitted that Liverpool need a new forward before the transfer window closes. Even if he also insists the Reds would boast another depth in attack without a new arrival. But that does not change the fact that the Dutchman had 6 senior international forwards to choose from last season. He currently boasts 4 specialists, with backup Federico Chiesa, a player who barely got a sniff last season, Jeremy Florian Wirtz, Dominic Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, and, if he stays put, Harvey Elliott all offer additional depth. But having waved off both Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez, also cashed in on Ben Doak and had to contend with the tragic passing of Diogo Jota. Slot's hand is currently not as strong as last summer, and that's without taking Mohamed Salah's looming mid-season departure to the Africa Cup of Nations into consideration too. Alexander Isak is obviously Liverpool's preferred target. With it, curious to see if Newcastle United will be more open to selling the want-away Swede after they're getting their clash with the Reds out of the way on Monday night. If they continue to dig their heels in, Liverpool might have to look elsewhere. Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez would perhaps be the dream alternative, but it would quite the late swoop if they were to suddenly pursue the Argentine now. Perhaps then, if Isak is not attainable now, the Reds would be best placed switching attention to an alternative forward rather than striker. If the Swede remains on strike, there will be future opportunities to sign him anyway. And even if not, Liverpool already have experience of having to be patient in such transfer sagas with the signing of Virgil van Dijk in January 2018. The perfect example. The Reds can still wait for their dream centre-forward signing while bolstering their attacking ranks now. Rodrygo looks like he could move on from Real Madrid, while the Reds have also been linked with Malik Fofana of Lyon all summer long. Either would bring versatility and quality to Slot's attacking ranks. With Liverpool still having options in central positions, the Reds can afford to wait for Isak, but Newcastle's stubbornness should not stop them signing a forward in the final days of the transfer window. Romano heard about Rodrygo amid Liverpool transfer rumours. Rodrygo's future remains strongly linked with Tottenham and Manchester City's talks over Savinho, the Real Madrid winger. It is now understood is reportedly an option open for sale. At the Bernabeu this summer, ESPN report that the Sky Blues haven't ruled out a move for the Brazil international. However, this potential incoming looks very closely connected to the fate of 21-year-old winger Savinho. Did Fabrizio Romano mention Liverpool are interested in Rodrygo? Fabrizio Romano's latest video entry on his eponymous YouTube channel solely focused on Manchester City's interest in the Madrid star. My feeling is that for many City, the only way to open doors for Savinho to go is if they find the right replacement. The transfer news specialist spoke on Sunday afternoon. The player they want remains Rodrygo from Real Madrid, but Rodrygo is very expensive, more than €100 million, £86.6 million. He has a big salary. Rodrygo is very happy at Real Madrid, so it's a deal to build. I always told you about Man City wanting Rodrygo, but you have to build this one. By build, I mean salary, convincing the player, and also the fee for Real Madrid. This is not something you close in 24 hours. So, where does this leave Liverpool and their ongoing need for forward reinforcements? It's important to note that by not mentioning the Reds at all, Arne Slot's men haven't yet been ruled out from this particular transfer saga. With our own difficult saga for Alexander Isak ongoing, the club has every reason to consider a pivot to a player like Rodrygo. To help shore up the front line. Can Liverpool afford to sign Rodrygo? If you have the opportunity to sign the versatile 24-year-old, most elite European clubs would gladly take the opportunity provided finances aligned. Liverpool, however, don't have that particular problem. We've certainly proved as much by posting a £110 million opening bid for Isak earlier in the summer transfer window. The big question now is how far the money extends, judging by our latest spate of sales, including a £65.5 million package for Luis Diaz. To Bayern Munich, we dare say our finances are in quite good nick. But what does this mean for Rio Ngumoha's pathway? It seems a silly question when there's a genuinely world-class footballer on the line, but Liverpool have reportedly made a commitment to preserving Rio Ngumoha's pathway into the first-team. Cody Gakpo is without question the starter, of course. However, judging by our 16-year-old prodigy's marked lack of minutes so far in competitive action. One wonders whether Gakpo alone as our sole senior option on the left flank is wise. Liverpool ideally needs someone who can be dropped any role across the front three. Rodrygo, for what it's worth, is that man. But the Brazilian has already made it expressly clear that he wants minutes on the left, so with signing the Real Madrid, wide man enable Liverpool to satisfy their need for depth and a commitment to look after Ngumoha's development. Let's see. In the meantime, Los Blancos remain open to letting Rodrygo leave this summer. Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.